Hey, how's it going? This is Bill Brock, the Rogue Bigfooter, back again, and I'm here with my buddy Carl Linsalot. Hey, Carl.
Hey, guys.
And we got a special show for you tonight, man. I've got two exciting guests with me, Greg and Dana Newkirk. These people are awesome. They have some really cool stuff going on right now, and I definitely want to talk about that real quick. And after that, we are going to talk about what happened with myself and Dana and Greg down in southern Ohio with Dallas and Wayne. They seem to experience the same craziness that we experienced down there. And I'm telling you, that was crazy. It was seriously like, it really made me believe in Bigfoot, like straight up with you, man. Like I didn't hardly believe anything before I got there. I got there, talked to these guys, experienced what I experienced, and left thinking that aliens and Bigfoot are possible. So I want to start off, man. Greg, Dana, thanks for coming on. Can you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Oh God, where to begin?
Well,
So I know that you guys are doing a lot of stuff, man. I know you got a really awesome show coming out, Planet Weird, right?
Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's the first time we've decided to really delve in, and we've been kind of disheartened. I mean, we've been around the paranormal community for a long time. And we've been kind of disheartened with the kind of television that we've seen on paranormal, so we decided, but if you want it done right, do it yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do.
we basically wanted to make the show that we want to watch. So that's kind of the motivation behind the whole thing.
And we love to watch ourselves.
Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl's a big YouTuber. I'm sure he likes watching himself too. It's terrible. But yeah, dude.
Too much.
Let me know a little bit about this show that you're putting out, man. Planet Weird. What'd you guys do?
Well, the idea behind Planet Weird was we all got together and we sat down about a year ago, almost exactly, to figure out, we had just put out a documentary called The Bigfoot Hunter Still Searching. I don't know if you're familiar with a guy by the name of Tim Holmes.
Yeah, he's a little different, but yeah.
He's different. He is. And he was our first experience with a person that called themselves a Bigfoot hunter. And we captured this entire experience on video. And we had just made this, and it was received very well. It was really fun, and we wanted to take on a new project. And so when we all sat down together, we thought, okay, what would we want to see? What would we want to make? And we wanted to make something that kind of portrayed the paranormal as we saw it, something that was fun and something that didn't leave the burden of proof on us. So we didn't have any reason to go, oh my God, we have to have a piece of evidence at the end of this show, like a lot of paranormal shows do. And so we decided, let's make something where instead of simply looking for evidence, let's just engage the strange. Let's engage the people that are involved. Let's engage the topics, the places. So that's kind of our hook on it, is to do something that's just a little bit different than what everyone else has done. We might not always make it out with some evidence of some crazy, paranormal phenomena. But if we don't, that's okay, because you're still going to have a good time watching it.
Right, and isn't it really about the story anyway?
You got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point, because you have a lot of different people with Bigfoot encounters or paranormal encounters, and when you go to those sites, unless you go there at the right time of year, the right place, most likely you're not going to find very much. Yeah. But when you focus on the people, I think that's a great idea. To focus on the people and the locations.
Well, a lot of these places have, their production crews go there, and they're only there for 3 days. And I mean, we're not going to try and fool anybody into thinking that we're experts on anything. I mean, we're not. We're not experts. We're not, scientists or tech experts or anything like that. We just, we know our way around a video camera, and that's pretty much it. So we're not going to go to a place for 3 days and then go, well, we've found definitive proof that people have been looking for 100 years here, and we've only been here for 3 days. I mean, I think people are kind of past the point now where they believe that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So what's the point of lying when you can get just as great entertainment by telling the stories that have been there for so long?
Yeah, I totally agree. And so have you only been out with the Tim, I can't remember his last name, and Dallas and Wayne?
Yes. Well,
That's it.
yeah, that's it.
We actually went out with Dallas and Wayne because we wanted to go out with a group of Bigfoot hunters who were the exact opposite of Tim. Tim carries grenades into the woods with him.
What?
I swear, he has grenades. He carries weaponry. Like Tim, if he were to see Bigfoot, he would do one of two things. He would either run screaming in the opposite direction, or he would shoot it in the face.
Or he would do both.
Or he would do both. He would probably try and shoot while he was running. Dallas and Wayne, as you know, they're just complete sweethearts. They're lovable guys. Like I mean, Wayne or Dallas told us a story about Bigfoot saving his life. So,
oh, I love Dallas, dude. Like I talk to this guy probably every day, man, and he's really a good friend of mine. I think he's awesome. And he'd be on tonight, but he messed up his microphone somehow, and so he can't use his mic. So, but yeah, he's got to give him a new microphone. But anyway, we'll start going into the Dallas and Wayne thing here, man. Because honestly, I have been dying to talk to you guys since you went down there. Like I even got a hold of Jason Gowan, I think his name is, and was like, dude, you got to tell me, did you guys really hear something? Because
did you call him?
Yeah, dude.
I think we were in the car when you called. We were over
yeah.
Oh, that's
I remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Gowan had himself tucked away in the very back seat of the van. He had his own little cubby hole back there, so we didn't know everything that was going on the whole time. But I remember him getting a call, and he said I couldn't remember who it was that called, but it was because he wanted to verify that you had heard the same thing that we had heard. I remember that.
That's exactly right, man. And I was like, man, if you guys put this out, I hope that you guys are on Dallas and Wayne's side, because somebody could take this and make him look really crazy, man. But I think you guys did an excellent job from what I've seen, and you told the real story, because
you were afraid of looking crazy.
Dude, I got to start with my experience and kind of give you guys a rundown of what it was like just getting from Dallas's house to the woods. And if you have any questions, Carl, feel free to jump into this at any time, man. And you see him you see him laughing already, so it's kind of crazy. So we get to Dallas and Wayne's place, man. Actually, we end up pulling up in front of Wayne's house, and we tried getting a hold of him, but just these mean dogs are barking. I mean, it was just crazy. And the street they live on is suicide, just to even my bees tracked us down and cut us off, guys. I don't know what happened for sure, but we got cut off big time, and we were right in the middle of really getting into what I want to talk about too, man, and that's Dallas and Wayne. So I started off a few minutes ago talking about the experience of going to Dallas's house, man. Dallas has the coolest house on the planet. You go in, and he for real has a Bigfoot room, right?
The pictures on the wall were what blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just the hundreds and hundreds of pictures that he's taken, displayed for everybody. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it really is. And if you look close at a lot of those photos, there's a few of them that can really blow your mind, man. They really look like they could be Bigfoot. I would say probably 90% of the pictures on that wall are questionable, but I would say that other 10% are oh my gosh, what is that? And it was crazy. He had this
of a demon or something too that he had that was pretty crazy.
He had an albino Bigfoot.
There was albino Bigfoot. There was some.
There was so much I can't it's everywhere. Everywhere you look is a photograph or it's something.
It was sensory overload.
Yeah, you could spend hours in there and you wouldn't even scratch the surface because there's so much stuff in that room. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was amazing though. Did he really show you guys the photos on the wall and really tell you about them and stuff?
Well, it was funny because we were there with Dallas and Wayne. They were both there together, and there were 4 of us, and there were 2 of them. And they pretty much just one of them took one group of us this way, and the other one took the other group of us this way. And there was just so much going on. Everybody saw a little different piece of the puzzle, and so we all kind of had to reconvene later in the day. But they took us to all of their prized photos and showed us the best ones, and they played us sounds, and they showed us videos. I mean, we all got a little sample of Dallas and Wayne that day.
Nice. But, you know, aren't they like the nicest people you could ever want to meet, though?
Absolutely.
They honestly are like the nicest people. I mean, everyone that we met during the trip was incredibly nice. But, like, Dallas and I were like that. They're like the best thing that could have come at sort of the end of the trip. We were just sort of like, we could have spent like a week with them, and it just would have been so awesome.
We wish we'd had more than a day to spend with them, because we only had about 16 hours or so to spend with them. And it was incredible. They were just so unbelievably hospitable to us, welcoming. I mean, the guys have nothing. They really don't have anything, and yet they were trying to take us out to dinner and do all this kind of stuff. And we had to keep telling them, no. You're helping us out.
Mm-hmm.
Let us do something for you.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievably nice guys. Some of the most gentle souls I've ever met.
And they're so passionate. They're like so incredibly passionate about Bigfoot. You can't help. It's like contagious. You just you get excited about it as much as they are.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So for us, after we hung out there, that we went to a place they call, I think, the Boneyard. I think that you guys. Yeah. So on the way to the Boneyard, guys, did you guys happen to encounter a really, really creepy area? I'm talking like the creepiest area on the planet. What's that?
Were there shoes hanging from trees? Yes. Yes.
We could not figure out what was going on. It was like a building exploded, and there was just shoes everywhere.
Yes.
And it like, seriously, we stood there for like 15 minutes filming it, going like, what happened here? Like, it was like a shoe graveyard. It was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For us too, and for us, right across the street from all the shoes was a dead carcass. Like, it was a dead like, I don't know, dude. It was like a dead deer that was like ripped apart. It was just like this stinky mess. And then there was like 4 huge trash bags of like dead, rotten fish, dude. So like there was 1 million shoes on the right. There was like 40 pounds of dead fish on the left with some like dead deers and some weird stuff over there. Like it was weird.
Where is this place at? Like, what's the location area?
It's southern Ohio, Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, yeah.
Weird.
Yep.
It's like right on the border of West Virginia. It might as well be West Virginia, really.
You're basically driving up this like abandoned, like it's just this mountain with nothing on it except again like this weird place with like all these shoes, and then so it's like it's creepy because you're driving for miles and then you just see the first thing you see is just like hundreds of pairs of shoes and like kind of like the ruins of like what was a building, I think, at one time.
It was like a chicken coop or something.
No, they didn't tell you the story of that place.
I don't know. I mean, I might have been too focused on the shoes.
Yeah, well, you need to call Dallas, man, and have him tell you the story. I'm going to give you the Cliff Note side of it, man. So basically, that used to be a church. And the Satan worshippers went. Now Dallas told me this. So that used to be.
Oh, I love it.
All right, check this out. So that used to be a church, man. And the Satan worshippers came in and burned it down. Now this, I don't know how true this is. Dallas is a very, very, very religious man. Oh, yeah. And as you guys know, he doesn't lie. Mm-hmm. And he says that place is haunted. He says that place is like one of the most haunted places around, period. And I believe it. If something like crazy like that happened, man, like
that's right up our alley too. That's so funny.
Maybe you guys should go do a sleepover there or something.
Yeah, I totally would.
We wish we could have slept over the night we were there. Like, we seriously wanted to stay there all night, but we just didn't have the time.
Oh, you guys didn't stay the night. We did. We actually stayed the night, man. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit more of what happened after we got past the weirdness of the shoes and the dead animals and stuff. And, you know, we continue down this road, as you guys know, and it's a bad road, you know, and Dallas and Wayne are doing probably 70 mile an hour down this friggin' dirt road, you know, and I'm doing 35 trying not to crash, you know, and they're just flying. And so we get down there, and by the time we get there, Wayne has like unloaded probably 2 cord of wood out of this truck, and He's got like this pile, man, that's probably like 5 feet tall, dude. Like the biggest pile ever. Are you guys following me? Is this kind of what happened with you guys?
Almost exactly, except we had to gather our own wood for the fire.
It's about as much wood as it sounds about the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened after that? And I want you guys to tell me your story because I hear it's a lot more dramatic than mine. So Wayne gets this gas can and starts walking around the fire or the pile of wood with gas can, dude. And like he dumps probably like 3 gallons of gas on this thing, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, they call me Firewalker." And I'm like, "Why do they call you Firewalker?" And he's like, "I catch myself on fire sometimes and have to run into the pond to put myself out." And so about that time, man, he strikes a match, and me and Mike are like, "Oh my God," like we know that bad stuff's about to happen. And he puts this lighter down, and it's like, boom! I mean, the biggest flame that you could ever imagine. And Wayne puts his arms up like this, and the ball of flame just rolls right up his face, And about time he did that, he put his arms down, and I kid you not, this dude's got smoke rolling off of both arms, and he's got a smile from ear to ear. I swear he just looked like the happiest person I ever seen, buddy.
He did something like that when we were with him. But what really got us is, I mean, he did the same deal where he poured gas all over the fire, and we're kind of sitting there going, "You sure that's a good idea? You sure that's okay?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." He said the same thing. They call me Firewalker.
Both vans are parked like 5 feet away from this like mountain of like gasoline slathered wood, and we're like, "This is not a good idea."
But after the fire is going, he picks up the gas can. And he walks over and starts pouring gas on the fire.
Wow.
And we're sitting there, and I should say, this is all on film, right? Like, because we're there to shoot this. And he's pouring gasoline on the fire, and we sit there and watch silently as the fireball creeps up the stream and back into the canister
that Wayne is holding.
No!
And he starts screaming, "No!"
We're like, "Drop it!"
And then he just drops the thing.
He looks.
Oh no! He turns and he looks at it first into the handle that's spewing fire. He looks at it, and then he drops it, and it starts to smoke and spew fire all over the grass. And then he goes, "Oh man, that really makes me mad." And he gets to Dallas and goes, "Dallas, I'll buy you a new one, buddy. I'm sorry." I feel like such an idiot.
About 20 minutes later, he went, "You guys gotta put that on YouTube." I love stuff like that. You gotta put it on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll put it on YouTube.
We'll put it on YouTube, Wayne. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think I might still have this fireball on YouTube as well, dude. That was just insane.
I think he sent that to us, actually.
Nice, man. Nice. That's awesome. So after that, man, how's your story go after that? What happened after the massive fire?
Actually, before the fire even started, they didn't start the fire till later, actually.
Really?
And when we were with them, I mean, they took us around. They showed us all the places that they'd seen things. They pointed them out. There's a big field over there to the right-hand side. And they showed us where they'd seen things. They took us off out into the other clearing in the forest. Showed us where they'd found footprints. And we were having a great time. Fantastic. But at the same time, we were kind of like, yeah, there's probably nothing here. It's probably not a big deal. And Dallas said, "Do you want to learn how to talk to them?" And we all looked at Dana and said, "Oh yeah, she's the perfect one to do it." And so Dana was taught by Dallas how to speak to the Sasquatch.
Nice.
And
I don't really remember it.
I think all I remember is like what
It was like Hia, Tia, Como.
Momo or something.
Momo,
Yeah, there were a couple more lines too.
Yeah, I can't
So
remember.
wait. I'm gonna hang on a second. So when you guys got there, were they already acting like they're here. It's not like we have to call them in. They're acting like they're here right now watching us already.
Yeah.
I think Dallas said, Dallas said
that they were curious.
They're
they
curious.
were sort of like going, okay, because he kind of explained it as like they would know who Dallas and Wayne were because they had been there so many times, but they were curious about who we were because we were just
greenhorns.
random.
They said they know you're greenhorns.
So it was the idea that they were curious, and I said, can I say something to them that would be like a greeting or like something that would be, I don't know, like a polite way of saying, hey, Bigfoot.
I'm Dana.
Yeah. So that was the idea behind sort of Dallas teaching me very basic Bigfoot language.
And so you talked to him for a while. And
I think it goes like this, guys. I think it's like Uatiaha, yay, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, because that's the part Dana had trouble with.
I had the hardest part with
hey.
That's awesome, man. And you know, while we're talking about their calls and stuff, we got to talk about Wayne, man. He's got the most incredible Bigfoot call that I've ever heard in my entire life, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Insane.
He's got like crazy.
His is scary. Like if I were to hear his,
it does sound scary.
I'd be scared.
Something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if I heard that on a mountain, I would be absolutely terrified because it just sounds crazy.
What was interesting?
Well, you guys did hear that on the mountain, right?
Yes.
And I want to back up here. I don't want to get to the good part yet, man, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to cover really fast, and you know we only have about an hour or so. So I want to talk about the aliens real quick, all right? Now I love Dallas, man. I believe everything that man tells me. And we come out of the camp, out of the boneyard. We bang a left and walk down to what I think is called like the pine stand or like the pine.
Yeah, it's like that clearing in the forest.
Right. And off to the right is a really odd tree, man, right in the middle of like a clearing that looks like you could just live in the thing.
Yeah,
like it's really odd.
Yeah.
So I hope that you guys got this story because it's honestly my favorite story that I have from that day. Dallas takes me over there. He stops just as we walk through this little narrow edge, this little clearing, and he looks at me and he's like, I'm going to tell you the truth here. Right there was a spaceship. And out of that spaceship came a bunch of little men and ran around me and my friend, and then it ran back into its spaceship. And I was like, Dallas, did you see them? Like, you really saw them? He's like, yeah, I saw them. I said, did you see the spaceship? He said, no, it was cloaked. I didn't see the spaceship, but it was right there. So that was absolutely my favorite story because that dude looked me dead in the eye and went,
oh, yeah, no.
Little spacemen running right around me. You know, and I
my mind, they believe every single word they're telling us. Like, no doubt in my mind. What was the one? Dallas told a really good. No, Wayne told a really good one.
I think all I really remember was him saying that the ship was close enough that they could see people or they could see beings kind of in the windows. That's the...
No, that was a different one. That's the one that was in the sky.
Oh,
well, there was more.
And they could see him in the windows. But Wayne told us a story about that area, about the time he got lost. Do you remember that?
Wayne? Oh yeah, I remember this story.
He got lost.
This is my favorite Wayne story.
He realized that he had gone through a dimensional rift. And it was this. He was basically in this place where he said there were ferns that were like 7 feet tall, and the sky was purple and swirling, and that there were creatures he'd never seen before. Like, he told us a story that he was in a different place. And
this dude's sober. This dude doesn't drink. He doesn't, he's sober.
That story was particularly noteworthy.
He said that he spoke to Bigfoot, and that Bigfoot kind of helped guide him out of this forest that he had never been in before. And
what was he doing when he got lost? What was he doing?
What were you doing up there, just wandering around by yourself? And he said that he was picking mushrooms.
Oh, there you go.
And we were like, to eat? Like forest mushrooms? So it's possible that he like
the psychedelic sky made a lot more sense.
Yeah, he was like saying everything was swirling together and like all that, and we were like, "Wait, were you eating these weird mushrooms in the woods?"
Yeah, that definitely makes sense right there, man, for sure. All right, so let's get over to Bigfoot, man, before we run out of time here. And I want to know, man, do you guys think that you heard Bigfoot yell back at you when Wayne was yelling?
I can honestly tell you that I've never been so freaked out in my whole life, and that what we were hearing, I literally have no idea what it was. So whether that means that it was Bigfoot, I don't know what it was. It was the weirdest sound I've ever heard. Like, honestly, I'm not exaggerating. Like, we all of us stopped dead in like our tracks, and we just stared at each other because we were just like,
we weren't expecting it. I mean, after hearing stories like that, like with the psychedelic sky and the mushrooms and stuff like that, you know, and speaking words to Bigfoot, I mean, it was funny. It was funny, and we thought we were going to get a nice, lighthearted piece out of this about these two guys who really, really believed what they were doing. Just two total sweethearts who believed so strongly in something that may or may not have been there. So when something started actually screaming back at us, something clearly very big.
A couple somethings,
yeah,
I should say.
More than one, back and forth from two different sides. Yeah. We got really freaked out because we were not expecting it.
So they were actually on two sides of the camp. You heard from one side and then the other?
We got closer. They were getting closer as we sat by this spot. And I've not heard anything like this before. I mean, we tried to think, well, maybe it's an owl. I don't know. It doesn't sound like any owl I've ever heard. I mean, we went and looked and tried to go, okay, what could this be? And we listened to these different animal recordings over and over. Was it a fox? It doesn't sound like a red fox.
And the thing too is, it didn't just happen in a 5-minute time span and that was it, nothing else happened. It happened for like a good solid hour at least.
Oh, really?
Continuing to happen. Like, so there was enough, like we recorded enough footage and we were like sitting there listening to it enough that we literally by the end of it were looking at each other going, this is incredible. Like, it's absolutely incredible. I have no idea what it is.
We haven't even gone through this yet. This still has the memory card in it from the recording we took while we were there. I mean, this was sitting way away from the group. Like, this was still in the case that I just pulled it out of. Like, we haven't even had time to go through this yet.
Because we filmed so much.
And there's a good at least 3-4 hours worth here of the raw recording of the audio.
Dude,
like the stuff.
Explain. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Greg, but I'd like for you to explain to people that's watching on YouTube what you just held up. I know what it is, but I don't think a lot of other people know what it is.
This is a Tascam audio recorder, and it's used a lot of musicians to do a lot of like live audio recording, things like that. It's a really high quality recorder. But what it's also used for is a lot of low budget filmmakers will use this, and they'll either use these here. These are two independent microphones, unidirectional, or they'll plug in like we did. You plug in a boom mic to it, and that's kind of your portable audio recorder for your separate audio. And so what we used this and set this up a long way away from the fire, so it didn't get the fire crackling in it or anything like that, and just had it sitting there to record whatever audio we could get, a lot of like ambient audio, while we ran audio into the cameras as well. So we had a couple different sources going. And we put a teaser out like last week, and all the audio you hear in that teaser, and you actually hear these howls, these screams in the teaser, those were pulled from the video recorder. Those are pulled from that. Like, we haven't touched this yet.
So the actual audio, we haven't had time to actually go through any of it yet. So we could potentially have like way more that sounds a lot better.
And like she said, it was going on for at least an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So a lot there.
Yeah, this is what happened to us, man. Like, on the serious side of this, I think that they might actually be onto something. And what I think is going on there is they have habituated at least a couple Bigfoots. Now, I really believe this, man. I really do. I believe they've habituated a couple Bigfoots, and I think they can call them in because they've been there so many times, and they trust them. I know that sounds crazy, man, but this is really the only place.
We don't know what crazy is anymore after... because we thought the entire thing was crazy until it started happening.
Yeah, and then you just look at each other going, are we all hearing
Are
the
we
same
nuts?
thing?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on right now?
Yeah. So what happened with us, man, is Wayne started busting off these calls, and Wayne straight up just sounds like he's primal when he does this, man. Like, I don't know who taught him how to do this, but he really sounds like he's primal, man. It's crazy. So he lets off these yells, and we're in this valley thing, man. And when he yells, it's almost like it continues for like 10 seconds after he yells, man. It echoes so much. And he did that like 2 or 3 times, I believe. And then we stopped. We're just chilling out by the fire. Mike was laying down by the fire, you know, about half asleep. And then all of a sudden we hear this, ooh, 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 ooh. And I'm like, Mike, did you hear that? And I'm like, where's the camera? Where's the camera?
Mass scramble to get the equipment set up, and everybody's going every which way, trying to be quiet, but trying to set stuff up at the same time.
Yeah, that's exactly the same kind of scenario we were faced with, because when we were there, dude, straight up, we did not expect anything to happen. We thought that, you know, Wayne would yell, you know, and that would be it. But that's not how it happened, man. This is the whole night, dude, and I'd like to hear you how it came through, you know, what happened with you guys. But we let out a bunch of yells. We got a response, which, like, you know, let's say this is the road, you know, there is a mountain up here, like across the field, and up here, that's where one of the responses came from. And then there was also a response behind us, like back in the boneyard section of this field.
Exactly.
And so what I did is I wanted to find out what the heck was making the sound. I get up immediately, and I'm looking. You know, me and Dallas walk out to this field, and he's like, be careful, these Bigfoots will sneak up on you and get you. And I'm like, I'm all right, Dallas, you know. And so I start smelling this really odd smell. And I'm telling you the truth here. I start smelling this really bad, like, it was almost like rottenness kind of smell, you know, like it nothing like I really smelled before.
Did you guys smell anything, Greg or Dana?
I didn't. That was one thing I thought maybe would happen for us, but I mean, it just smelled like outside.
We were also trapped in a van together with horrible eating Taco Bell for 2 weeks.
But at the same time, though, we didn't want to film in night vision. We wanted to use like actual lights, so we were sort of like stuck to a very kind of small area. We could kind of go out and
at a few points we took our big lights. I mean, we had these big floodlights that we used to light up the area. We would take them up to the back of the boneyard where we would hear them and stand there, or over next to the field by the road to try and capture something. But we were pretty adamant, like she said, about not doing the corny night vision shots of people's faces, a la Finding Bigfoot. So
right. So yeah, I want to say that I had the one across the way yelling at us, one behind us, and they, like you said, they seemed to get closer, and they got louder and more responsive. Like you could really hear them kind of almost communicating between us, and it got to the point where like it was just felt normal, like they just kept doing it. Yeah. And eventually,
do you guys have any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
No, go ahead, Carl.
I was going to ask you, do you guys have any estimation, like even a guess on like at the closest you could hear it? I mean, are we talking like 50 yards, 100 yards? Like what are we talking like distance, would you guess?
At one particular point, I would not have been surprised if it was somewhere between 50 and 100 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, Greg. We said the same exact measurement. We thought 50 to 100 yards away because Michael Merchant, he actually heard a twig break, like a really good size stick, and he said that was 50, 100 yards away, just to the left on a little knoll. Like it was really, really close by.
They were Pebbles being tossed
Yeah,
at
a
one
couple
point
times.
out of the woods.
A couple times.
Like,
Really?
like landing and hitting Jason in the foot.
Like where we were sitting close to the fire, we could sort of like every once in a while you'd hear one kind of skid across the grass and like come
Because
into.
our fire was maybe about 20 feet away, 25 feet away from the woods right there by the boneyard area.
Mhm.
So it wasn't terribly far. I mean, it was probably the same place you guys had it because we used the same fire pit.
Mhm.
And right from out of those woods, there were pebbles
Mhm.
being tossed.
Wow. Yeah, you know, Dallas and Wayne both told me that right there out of the woods, they get hit with pebbles all the time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy there. It's like.
And I mean, I think we should reiterate that this place is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it
Like
really is.
if there was somebody hiding up there in the woods, they'd have been there a long time
Right.
Yeah.
for us to get there.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle
like,
of nowhere.
And not just in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of like a forest.
And we would have seen the lights.
Yeah.
Like they would have had to have used lights to have found their way there. We would have seen lights
Mhm.
after dark. That we would have seen them anywhere because I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's some of the clearest night I've ever seen. So
Yeah, you know, Mike and I talked about this a lot, you know, about how could somebody have got up there in the mountains
Yeah.
and yelled back at us exactly like Wayne was yelling.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really think of any way it could even be done. And I want to say that, you know, they don't have a whole lot of money, so I don't think they would even have the $40 in gas to
Yeah.
give to somebody to drive out there
Well,
and fake this.
that's just it. I mean, we paid for their gas because they were taking us out. We stopped and we bought bologna for bologna sandwiches. We bought Dallas's bubble gum, and we bought Wayne his Coke. And then we put some gas in the tank, and we drove our van, and Wayne drove his. And
Dude, that was identical. That's exactly what happened to us, man. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty well walk a very tight middle road between one side and another. And this one, I mean, I'm not afraid to say I don't know. I don't feel like I need to have like proof one way or the other. And I mean, I really don't know, but I'm falling more into the I believe something was that. I mean, I know something was there. Something was there. What it is, I don't know. And I'm trying to come to terms with what it could be.
Right. So a big reason why I brought Carl on board here, man, is he had an experience that is pretty incredible too. But he actually got to see kind of the outline of the thing. And I wanted to know, Carl, do you see any kind of parallels between what we're talking about and what you experienced?
I think that the biggest similarity is and I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but that the entire time that it was going on, that they were completely in control of the situation and knew, like, whatever was moving around out in the woods knew what they were doing and were in complete control and knew that they were hidden. And I felt completely not in control of the situation. I wanted to ask you guys, did you guys hear any actual, like, what sounded like voices or talking of any kind from the woods?
Honestly, the only thing that we ever heard the whole night was the sound, that the hollering back, like back and forth.
Though we did hear
one weird thing
that
again.
sounded like a coyote, but again, totally different than the screeches we were hearing.
Yeah.
This was a totally different thing, and it sounded like the coyote got beat. It was
the sound of a coyote like dying, and not like, it literally sounded like something caught it, and that was literally, it happened like maybe 20 minutes before we left, and it was this weird. We heard a coyote howling, and then we heard it howling again, and then it sounded like something caught it.
Somebody kicked a dog, basically.
Like it was a really weird sound, and we were kind of just like, all right, we gotta go now. Like we're done now.
But this was probably closing in on 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
At this point.
So, but again, and it didn't sound anything like what we had been hearing earlier in the night.
But there wasn't like chatter, like almost like people chatter. There wasn't any like talking or anything like that. No.
Huh. I didn't in my experience at the Sierra site, I I never did get any like smells or anything like that. Bill, you're saying that when you went down by the boneyard, you could smell something. Was that more like, could that have possibly been like the dead carcass and the fish, or was it different than that? Or
I thought that too. I thought immediately that it had to be something dead back there, but it was in the middle of the night, and so I heeded Dallas's warnings, and I didn't go in the woods by myself. That night, I didn't know what it was, but the next morning, I spent probably a half an hour really just walking around that area trying to figure out what could have made that smell. And I couldn't find any kind of flesh at all. I found bone, but I couldn't find any flesh that would have made that smell. What's that?
There's a reason they call it the boneyard, but they were like bleached. They'd been there for so long.
Definitely.
I see.
Yeah, so what we're talking about, the boneyard, and I think this is really important too. I really want to focus on this a lot, and it might even help Bigfooters out there, man. What I've seen is places that dump meat. They seem to attract Bigfoots. That boneyard that we're talking about used to be a place where the farmers would go and dump their cows when they would get sick or whatever. If they couldn't, process them, they would just dump them there. And so there's cow carcasses just all over, you know what I mean? So I think what's happening, that Bigfoot comes down and eats on these cow carcasses after people drop them off. And I know that is just absolutely absurd sounding, but realistically, I can't think of another reason why Bigfoot would hang out down there, And I've spent the past year listening to different kind of calls, listening to every freaking like wolf, coyote, like every call that you can think of, trying to rationalize what I heard that night. Because it freaked me out. It really, truly freaked me out, man. And that was the only experience I've ever had with Bigfoot that I think it probably could have been a Bigfoot.
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
The only kind of audible experience that I had up at the Sierra site, and this is going to sound bad, but with everything going on, I cannot remember if it was the first night or the second night. And my memory tells me it was the second night because so much happened. But I remember at one point, I think it was Sean, he did a big whoop right by the campfire, and then we heard one loud whoop to the south of us up over the hill, kind of like it sounded like a loud howl, and then as soon as it was long and stretched out, and then as soon as it ended, like a whole bunch of coyotes went off and started yipping and howling and yiping and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure that was the second night. I might have to ask Sean and Roe and some of those guys. I cannot remember because everything was going on so crazy. But I don't know. It could have just been coyote, but that's the only thing I heard. The rest of the time, it's completely quiet except for the footsteps, hearing the footsteps moving through the trees and stuff. But
Gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky. Yeah, I want to do it again. Are you guys planning on going back down there at all?
We'd love to.
We're gonna have to at some point.
I'd love to go and actually spend a whole weekend
Yeah.
just right there and not like actually leave that area and just sort of stay. It would be amazing.
Did you
Well, I
guys
wanna
have
go
a
with you
chance
guys.
Did you guys have a chance to look around the next morning and go look for footprints or anything?
Like I said, we went in, we met with Dallas and Wayne earlier in the afternoon, and then we spent maybe an hour at their place, and then we went straight out to the woods, and we stayed there till about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we had to hit the road.
Gotcha.
So we wish we'd had more time, but we really weren't planning on something so crazy happening.
Right.
So I don't know. We've got to go back again at some point. I mean, we not just because something so crazy happened, but because we like Dallas and Wayne so much. I mean, that's a big part of why we want to go back, because they were just a fun couple dudes to hang out with.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And I don't know. I really want to go back. Maybe we could meet down there or something. I'd love that. That'd be really cool. And before we get off here, man, I want to make sure that we plug what you got going on. And also, I want to tell your friend Jason Gowan congratulations because I heard that he is Cartman.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. I guess there was some live action South Park thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
does some acting on the side, so
yeah. That's really cool. I think that's awesome.
might see him. Yeah, might see him soon.
Nice. So what do you guys have going on again? I want to make sure that everybody knows and can go check out your website. And I just checked out Who Forwarded, man. I think that's really awesome. I just checked it out. And yeah, so be sure to plug your stuff, man. What are you doing?
We run Who Forwarded. It's an online magazine about all kinds of stuff. We write about ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs and all kinds of things like that. Lots of up-to-the-date news on weird stuff. That's kind of what we do. We do that every day. That's at whoforwardedblog.com. You can check that out. There's new stuff every day. And then what we were talking about tonight is a web series that we're debuting this summer, sometime probably in July. And we're slowly but surely putting more stuff out there. We've got a couple teasers out right now, so you can check those out and kind of get a feel for what it is. But you can get all kinds of news about that, videos at weirdhq.com. Or if you go to facebook.com/planetweirdhq, you can get all kinds of news there too.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Carl, do you have any more questions or anything before we get off here?
No, I wish I lived over there. I'd love to go with you guys. I've got the itch to go back really bad.
Well, you're welcome.
Sometime.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again, guys, for being on the Rogue Bigfooter Show. And for Bill Brock, Carl Linsalot, Greg, and Dana Newick, we're out of here. And thanks again for joining us. Till next time.